Sagittaria, latifolia. The nickname for this plant is rabbit's head. This is part 1, and in part 2 I'll be sharing a mnemonic or memory technique to help you commit to memory the most distinguishing characteristics of this plant for identifying purposes. Be sure to watch all of part 1 so that part 2 is understandable. This is a weedy plant. It is somewhat erect, more or less, up to 4 feet tall, and occasionally grows in colonies. We'll be seeing more details of these characteristics later, but notice the very prominent parallel veins here in the leaves. We could see right away that there are 3 petals. This, what you see here, is technically not referred to as a stalk, but as a inflorescence. There are various forms of inflorescent flower spikes or flower clusters, and the inflorescence of this particular plant is referred to as a raceme, where the flowers grow in angular direction from off the stalk. I like to remember it as a racetrack: raceme, race, race me. This, what is the flower stalk, not a plant stem, would represent the racetrack, and the race cars would come off of the pit stop or off of the racetrack in this angular form, as you see the flowers growing here. Now in this picture we're going to learn a few different things here. On the left is a picture of the fruit after the flowers have matured. The flowers with the yellow in the middle represent the male flowers, but the flowers here with the white petals with the green button in the center represent the female flowers. More on that in detail later. The leaf you see here lets you see where the plant derives its nickname from, rabbit's head, because it appears to be in the shape of an upside down rabbit's head. Notice that the ears, as with all rabbits, the ears are pointed. The face or the head is typically broad, though the leaf shapes and sizes vary quite considerably, but the leaf will always maintain this arrowhead form and always have 2 pointed lobes. The flowering stalk, again, quite erect. It is also very finely ribbed. This is an aquatic plant. It loves very moist soil. usually found in water or in floodplains where water was or where water will be. The flowering stalks or racemes are not always present, but when they are, they will rise from the center of a rosette or round formation of leaves, and the stalks will grow taller than the leaves. The first year, these rosettes or round colonies or leaves or formation of leaves develop in the first year, and later on that first year may also develop one or two flowering stalks. This picture shows us the variation of the leaves. Here on the left, we see the upside down rabbit's head, the pointed ears, and on the right, it's the variation. Now, a distinguishing characteristic of this plant, which is important to note, is, remember earlier I was pointing out the prominent parallel veins? Well, on this plant, they should all originate from a single point. This is referred to as being palmate, like the palms, like the fingers from the palm of your hand. Palmate, or as we refer to in the mnemonic, like legs from the spider's body. This leaf vein pattern will be represented by a tarantula in the upcoming mnemonic in part 2. Notice again the 3 petals, which are white, on each flower. This particular flower represents the male flower. Again, more detail on that later. Now these leaves can be hairy or smooth, could be long or short, broad or narrow. But will always maintain the arrowhead shape, have 2 pointed lobes, and the veins will again all originate from the same point, which is where the leaf stalk or the leaf blade meets the stem, or where the leaf blade meets the leaf stem. This plant, it does not typically grow in very deep water. This water could be up to 2 to 3 feet deep, about as deep as the water will be for this particular plant. Notice the spider shape, all the veins parallel, originating from the central point or from one point where the leaf blade meets the leaf stalk. upside down, or in this case, sideways rabbit's head. These leaf blades can be up to 16 inches long and 10 inches across, but they're usually about half that size. They're smooth around the edges, and they also contain a white milky sap. The leaf stem, or the leaf stalk, is flexible. It's triangular in cross section, and it could be up to 2 feet long, and they're quite stout. Rabbit's head. This picture shows us how the racemes develop in a fashion where the flowers form in whorls, a whorl around the stalk. This whorl will always be in multiples of 3, 6, or 9. The stalk will also be terminated with 3 flowers on the tip. You can see here in this picture how the leaf stalk is finely ribbed, just as the inflorescence or flowering stalk will be. Rabbit's head. This is a good picture to begin making the distinctions between the male and female flowers. These plants usually, but not always, has both male and female flowers. The male flowers, represented by the yellow stamen, which are in the center of the flower, have between 25 to 50 stamen. They will be on top. The female flowers, which are represented by multiple carpels in the center. Each carpel cluster can be up to 1,600 in number. Tarantula. Now, the female flowers with the 16 up to 1600 carpels. The cluster is green, and this is the part that turns into the fruit, which we will see later. Each of the up to 1600 carpels consist of an ovary, a stamen, and a style. And again, they're up to 1600 on this button. The male flowers, which are situated at the top of the leaves or the flowering stalk, has up to, like I said before, 25 to 50 yellow stamen. In this picture we can see how they are arranged. Male flowers at the top and the female flowers below. When they occur on the same plant. Sometimes. Not as often, but sometimes you'll find plants which are just of one sex or the other, not both. It's a close-up of the female flowers. This is a close-up of the male flower. Female. Now both male and female flowers bear a bract, which is situated right at the base of the flower. There will be 3, sometimes 2 bracts. They are papery. They are green, lance-shaped, and curved. They are blunt-tipped. And they will always be shorter than the flower stalk. Curved, papery, shorter than the stalk. Now this is a picture of the fruit when the flowers has matured and turned into a seed cluster. Notice the bracts again, curved, now these fruit easily shatter into hundreds of seeds. And when they shatter upon ripening, the seeds are released into the water where the currents will take them out to propagate. Now these fruits are prickly or burr-like. Each of these points represent an individual seed remember that. We'll be seeing the seeds here before and after. Upon ripening, this fruit easily shatters. You can even demonstrate this by crushing this fruit in your hand. This is a close-up where there's a pointed beak, the seed is flat, and they have wings around the edges here. At the base of where the flower stalk meets the flowering stem, there's a papery sheath that can be found. And the flowering stalks are also, or they also contain a milky white sap. Now this plant has a rhizomous root system that bears tubers. This picture is not of the rabbit's head, but it is shown to give you an example of what a rhizomous root system looks like. It's roots that grow laterally underground, almost like a rope. In our mnemonic, this is what referred to as the lifeline. And for the rabbit's head plant, there will be tubers or potato-like growths at the end of these roots here. This picture shows us an example of tubers. And this is a picture of some of the actual tubers of the rabbit's head plant. Now they could be up to 2 inches long. They're usually about 3 to possibly even up to 12 inches deep in the soil. The soil is usually very muddy, and refer to the fact sheet of this plant at survivalplantsmemorycourse.com to find an easy way to harvest these tubers. Okay, the edible parts of this plant are the tubers, also the roots, the rhizomous roots, the petals, new shoots, and young stems. To learn how to prepare these parts, go to survivalplantsmemorycourse.com, and there on the index of plants page, you will see the Sagittaria latifolia, click on that link, or on the same link you'll see the nickname Rabbit's Head, or the common name, which is common arrowhead. Click on that and read the methods of preparation there. This has been part 1, and in part 2 I'll be sharing a mnemonic or memory technique to help you commit to memory the most distinguishing characteristics of this plant for identifying purposes. Thank you for watching.